Conscious Collaboration brings together entrepreneurs, changemakers, and thought leaders. We aim to highlight the people that embody the idea of aligned mind, body, and business. Each week, we share, discuss, and learn from the various experiences and ideas of our guest experts. Through our discovery, we find a path to an aligned mind, body, and business.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Emily. And we are the Conscious Collaboration Podcast. What up, guys? What up, Lisa?
Hey, Emily.
It feels a little more subdued today than the last time we
where's the red light?
got together. The red light's on.
Oh, okay.
The red light's on, but I feel like just the energy in general is the dust is settling.
Everything is stabilizing after the earthquakes.
Maybe. I mean, it's never really stable for too long, right? That's the one thing we can count on. And that's a lot of what we talk about and why we talk about what we talk about so that we can navigate through that a little bit better. And I have still been thinking about last week, and I kind of said to Lisa when we were doing our pre-discussion, so we'll let you in on a little secret. We, a lot of times, will come up with our topic literally right before we jump on the recording. And I think that speaks to our sort of last minute, like adaptable nature as air signs, but also, I think it's maybe a lot of what you guys like about listening to us is that, it ends up having no choice but to be pretty authentic, because we're literally just going by like what's on our minds that day and in that moment. So, and
a lot of
Gemini, that can change from moment to moment for sure.
The Gemini and Aquarius.
Right. We're like, bing, bing, bing.
No, I mean, it seems to vibe with what's going on, like in client sessions as well. There's just always synchronicities that connect everybody. So there's got to be truth in that what we share in our personal and business experiences is harmonious with everybody that's listening.
Yeah, for sure. So all that was really to say that I have another tarot themed idea for today's conversation. And I didn't want to get too tarot crazy on you guys, but I think it works really well to segue from last week's conversation. And, it's not really about the tarot. I like tarot and watching tarot readings from time to time just as it's a way to put things in context and understand them a little bit in a more structured way, I guess. And it hits on, because the tarot is this story, sort of about the cycle of life. It really picks up on a lot of dynamics that we all just experience in life, often repeatedly. Life is a cyclical nature. So I think it's worth, when we do have these insights, I think it's worth talking about.
So tarot is like the human connection to the stars, represented in usually a card format that's divined of. And then the I Ching is the relationship between environmental or, elements and its relation with the cycle of life. So being and used in a divinatory way, both of them are used in a way that it helps you to have, like, it takes you out of the situation. So you're looking at things from a bird's eye view. And it's kind of like more of like you're looking in on something and recognizing patterns, and then being able to assess, okay, like, this is where I am. This is how to get to or through or around.
Yeah. So another great tool to help yourself, if you, again, refer back to last week's conversation, stand outside of that burning tower and observe it, rather than be an active participant sort of getting engulfed in the flames. And so you can just navigate through these things with a little bit more wisdom and confidence and calm, I think.
Mhm.
But so we are going to piggyback off of one of last week's conversation topics. I know we had a few in the mix there, but we were talking about the Tower moment. And so just to review, the Tower is a major arcana card in the tarot. So that major arcana aspect of it means it's usually dealing with things that are beyond our control, out of the realm of human hands. It's more like, these are things that are happening at the universe's dictation, I guess. You have no control over it. So we were talking about these tower moments as these, big, sudden, often uncomfortable changes that flip flip the world upside down, and or your world, a personal situation upside down. And they can be very scary and uncomfortable and painful even. But if as long as you take a certain perspective on it and try to remain an observer on the outside of all the drama, then they're always intended for good, to get rid of what was on a shaky foundation to begin with and make room for what is actually meant to be. And so I started thinking about a concept in the minor arcana that very much ties to that tower concept in my mind, but it takes it from the perspective of what is within our control as earthly beings. And so this concept is a transition from the Eight of Cups to the Nine of Cups. So tarot, the minor arcana, has suits like playing cards. They are also associated with different earthly elements and different concepts. And so these cups card are associated with emotions.
Yeah, and the numerology of it too. Wait, like the 8 shifting into a 9, the numbers of it containing an energy by the way, Emily, I just realized that 8 shifting into 9 is nearing completion.
Well, it is, and I'll bring up my dude Steve, as he always says. 9 is actually the end in tarot. 10 is the end that leads to a new beginning. So 9, yeah. And it's just like that nearing completion card in that it's cyclical. Like the 10 leads to a new beginning. It's not just the 10 in the end. So yeah, totally. And so I'll give a little bit of what is actually depicted on the cards. The 8 of Cups is usually represented by a person essentially walking away from 8 broken cups. So walking away, leaving behind, or releasing what is no longer serving you, but it cups. So it's something you once loved, or maybe still do love. But, this tower moment happened, right? And, it has become evident. You've had the realization that this thing or person or situation or career, or business idea is no longer serving you, no longer working, even if it once did very, very well. And you're walking away from it into the unknown, but towards your 9 of Cups, which 9 of Cups is considered your wish fulfillment. So the kind of overall goal for that situation, whatever is actually going to fill those cups back up and help them to serve you and fulfill you emotionally. So we take this event that we have zero control over, this tower moment that
It breaks
is
all your
achieving it breaks all your cups. Yeah, it does. The tower falling down.
Did you know that
That.
8
But
so
or it just makes the brokenness evident, I
yeah,
think,
like the
is what it
8
is.
in the numerology that I study in feng shui, 8 turned on its side is like an infinity.
Right.
So like the 8 cups, the 8 once full cups, and the infinity implies that there was once like a belief that this was forever
Mm-hmm.
and fulfillment. And now that it's broken
Mm-hmm.
symbolically, and then shifting into a 9 is it's a test.
Mm-hmm. It's a test. Exactly. And you can think about the connection of these two things, the universe aspect of it and the free will aspect of it. And you can probably look at phases in your own life where you felt like maybe you were dealing with the same sort of event time after
Mhm.
time and time again. And so that just illustrates the importance of, if you find yourself in that position and you're like, why does XYZ keep happening? Like, that is the time to examine your own response to what is going on in that situation. And are you staying involved in a situation or with a person where it is no longer working just because it's easier, or because you think there's nothing else for you, or because you don't want to be lonely, or because you already put so much work into something, or because
Or it's the
it
way
did
it's
work
always
so
been
well
done.
at some point, or it's the way it's always been done. I mean, umpteen million reasons why people stay in things and situations that aren't working
Well,
aren't working on
comfort
the,
zone.
kind of chill end of the spectrum, and are making them miserable. I mean, you'll observe people in situations for
Yeah.
years, for decades, for their entire life, that are making them clearly miserable,
It's on
just
a
because they
core
never
that
have that point where they release it or walk away from it. Because you have to clear that space in order for the tower moment to create, to create that space for the thing that is better, that is meant to be.
it's like a well, it's not only a clearing away of like rubble and the top structure of a tower, but really it's changing things at the foundation or the core.
Right.
Because
Which was shaky
sometimes
to begin with, which is why the tower moment happened.
it's a reset of the foundation, whether
Hmm.
that, is like you're restructuring your business to, you realize knocking on doors and printing out mailers and a bunch of business cards and showing up to in-person events is not getting you the business that you desire anymore, but yet you keep pouring money and money and money into it.
Hmm.
Foundationally, those systems are no longer serving. So that doesn't mean that you're going to have to fold your business. It means you need to relook at why you believe that's a foundation that's going to support the growth of this tower that you will get you to your goals. It means
Yeah, and you can
shaking
even look at it in like, it doesn't have to seem huge and dramatic necessarily. This can happen on a more subtle level and still be the same ideas. But even like changing your prices as a business owner, you know what I mean? Maybe your tower moment is just simply inflation. And
and what
it,
you're charging is
like,
not going to sustain your life to be able to pay
right,
for
right,
survival.
right. And there's umpteen million reasons, that, and I know a lot of business owners can relate to this, especially if we're very front facing to individuals, people, clients that we have pretty close relationships with and stuff like that. We can find a million ways, a million reasons not to raise our prices.
Mm-hmm. Because it's scary. It's scary to say, like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it comes back to a self-worth thing, right? Like in
Mm-hmm.
business and in personal, like I'm worth more than what I'm charging right now. It's not the same environment.
Yeah.
I need to increase my price. So then trying to communicate and voice that new price out is going to feel
Yeah,
scary. Before you
whatever
believe it.
whatever the reason is, you think that your clients will leave you, the lots of reasons
Right.
to not make that call. But if you don't walk away from the old pricing, then,
You're not going
that's
to
actually more right. Like you're literally, the math doesn't math. So you can apply it to situations, that sort of day to day, or, business partnerships, romantic relationships.
It's all
If
the
you
same.
just stay, if you just stay, and it's no longer working, it doesn't matter how much symptom management you do, right? If you aren't releasing the root of the problem, then you're just going to keep stuck in that cycle and probably keep experiencing more power moments.
More suffering for sure.
It's going to keep, it's going to keep trying to balance out what is not in balance. And so you're going to just be like, well, why, why is it so chaotic? Why does this still keep happening?
So we were talking the other day, like, oftentimes I'll be doing some client work. I'll get a lot of people that will hit me up in DMs and send me emails or text messages. And it turns into, there's a great deal of, I will give advice, sometimes unsolicited if you're in my circle and you trust me already. But when it gets to the point of people taking free advice and taking of my energy, and I'm over giving of myself, that's lessening of my worth, and also taking away from that which is growing my tower on the new foundation. I mean, and that shows up too in relationships too. The overgiving of self. I mean, I think a lot of people, especially women, can resonate with this overgiving of self to support other people in a way that it eventually will cause a depletion in yourself.
Yeah. Or even just being present in a relationship that is not working for you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But people do it. People do it. Most people do it for most of their lives.
Yeah. I mean, I can relate to that too. And I know you can, like, coming out of long partnerships and divorce, you feel committed a lot of times because of a contractual agreement. And so you're overgiving and depleting of yourself in order to serve like a societal expectation, or I think that's why both of us are like nonconformists and things in our approach, because we all put ourselves in these structures that are built by old like societies that don't fit us anymore. So,
like, whatever your reason is for staying somewhere, if or staying in a situation, in an 8 broken cups situation, whether it's because of societal constructs or logistic, or like whatever your reason is, if the tower has made you aware that it is no longer serving you, and you're still making the decision to stay, no matter what the reason is, you're continually making that decision against yourself, period.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what your reasoning is. If once you've been made aware, it is from then on your responsibility to change that factor about your life.
And it needs to be done from like an inside core, like land, as in feng shui, you've got land analysis and consideration. It needs to be a safe place, a good structure to build upon your homes and your towns and your communities. So if you're suffering a tower moment, it doesn't mean build that tower back up in the same spot even. It means, wait, let's look at where we're building this tower. Is it in the shape that it needs to be? Do we need to restructure? Does it need to be
right? You got to start from scratch.
Yeah. I mean, even beneath the surface, like
don't just
sometimes
put Band-Aids on it and like,
more concrete.
Put a little Play-Doh and like, oh, maybe this'll hang in there for a little while longer.
There might be a sinkhole underneath the
land.
Right.
You give it, depending on what the thing is, you might give something one or two shots at, like making it work kind of thing. But other than that, like, that's why I think a lot of times it gets so frustrating when you have even like a good friend who's in a situation like that, and you want to be a friend for them, but you keep hearing them show up and they're complaining and they're complaining and they're complaining, and it's like, bro, your time's up. Like, you have to, shit or get off the pot, basically. Like, it is your responsibility now for this
Yeah.
to
You're having
change
awareness.
in
I
your
mean,
life.
especially, I mean,
Like, I don't want to hear it. Love you, but like,
yeah. I
either
think that,
stop doing what you're doing or.
yeah, I mean, it comes to mind to me with like the cycle of abuse or domestic
Mhm.
violence or something like that.
Mhm.
And oftentimes it's a marriage, it's hard to get out of marriage. So,
But it can totally go with business partners and stuff like that too. And again, not even be like a hugely negative connotation, like we kind of touched on before we started recording. Like, you have a old business model that
Mhm.
used to work really, really, really well, and you used to be able to easily get new clients mostly by word of mouth, and it felt effortless, and things were working and you had income coming in. But then some tower moment happened, say COVID.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
you have
really,
to
any business that
either completely
revamp.
reimagine what you're doing, or you can stay doing what you were doing because you love it, because it worked so well before, because it's hard to separate from with that. But I mean,
Yeah. I
that's
mean, like
what's going to happen. Like,
the biggest
it
like
doesn't work.
affected profession that I've seen, because I work a lot with different professions in terms of feng shui, but we're realtors.
Mhm.
And realtors, even though it became especially with everybody moving to Florida in our example,
Mhm.
everybody leaving California and Texas to move to Florida or from all around the world. Um, I feel like we're just doing a big commercial for Florida because now everyone's moving here. But realtors really had a hard shift into this new way of doing business. They really strongly resisted virtual. They relied upon their business cards or flyers, their in-person, driving in vans to go see houses in person, experiences, open house experiences. Well, guess what? That all blew up in COVID. Everything became virtual. Even staging went virtual. I did a staging project totally virtual. Um, it's really, and a lot of realtors suffered because they were like, no, 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 like I need to knock on doors. I need to go to all the mailboxes and give them my flyers, canvas the neighborhoods. I rely on my in-person connections, and they didn't survive. A lot of them, they were looking for new careers or retiring. It's, we talked about in the last episode too, this tower moment and the current state of the world right now. And it's really, we've brought up the word revolution a lot. In order to survive the way that things are shifting, you have to be really flexible and adapt, and you can't cling to the things that you believe to be a forever,
Mhm.
because they're
Right.
nothing is forever.
Right.
So,
Right.
it's having that awareness that within every death there's a birth, or like a tiny seed that's planted that going to be something new, and the whole cycle continues over again.
And it's like knowing what to look for when these inevitable moments happen. Like, when you feel something that you're like, oh, this is a tower moment, like, stop,
Mhm.
take a step back and be like, okay, what is this really trying to say to me here? So that I can just not waste time
Mhm. Yeah.
agonizing over, this, that, and the other. No, let's look at this. Does this mean, that this situation is just not serving me anymore? And if not, then what's the next move?
And what is it teaching, right? Like to get through these tower moments, you have to learn through it and grow through it. Like, have your eyes wide open to
look for the lesson.
yeah, what is this teaching me? And I mean, maybe there's a reason why. There's always a reason why, but you learn through it and you grow through it.
And it's probably something you need to let go of or walk
It's
away from,
something
or move on
foundational.
from.
Yeah, it's something within yourself
Yeah.
that you need to reflect on.
So if you're looking for that right away, it's a lot easier not to spend time caught up in the emotion of it. That's not to say you're not allowed to feel and process emotions when you have these tower moments. They're often very hard. You know, if it's dealing with people that you loved, obviously, like it's hard. It's hard. So yeah, of course you're allowed to have those emotions, but you know, being very intentional with how you're processing them and what kind of decisions you're making, what kind of place you're making decisions from. Am I making these decisions from a place of being up in the tower and throwing a bunch of fire and screaming and freaking out? Or am I in my place outside of the tower so that I can see exactly what it is that I need to remove, you know, take my action now and remove from my life? Or remove myself from.
Or like, are you the actual, like, not in a negative way, but like, we can be the change agent and things, like, we're the tower moment.
Well, that, yeah, right. Like that. Well, that is like, I feel like there's always twofold. We are the change agents on some level, and that's what these cards are about. There's always going to be stuff that's outside of our control. Always. There's always going to be major arcana, things that the universe is doing because the universe is the universe, God, whatever. There's always going to be those things that are happening. So, you know, we have choices.
So,
and
like,
usually the choice is stay or go, or something, you know, like comparable to that.
We were talking
Keep or release.
Yeah, we were talking about the concept of releasing. And in feng shui, it's a real delicate topic. We get feng shui practitioners get approached all the time, especially after divorce or major losses, death in a family, you know, something in the business that has crumbled in terms of tower moments. And it is, you know, a time of like purging and resetting. And there's this concept of like, well, decluttering, right? It is valuable to declutter, you know, and it's a process to let go of things that have no purpose anymore. And I always think of like, you know, the classic like cartoon example of when there's a divorce and someone's clothes end up on the front lawn and they're like, just get it out. You know, so there is that concept of clearing, burning, releasing, but it's more than that. It's more of than letting go to make room. It's also resetting. It's a foundational. So like fire, but like burning things creates earth, and earth creates our foundation and our cores. And so without that, having that stability, as we talk about like the central hub energy, um, you can't build anything new. You can't reset anything new without fortifying the foundation in which you're building.
And plus, things are one aspect of it. And if you only manage the things part of it, then, you know, you're also forgetting to, like, you have to walk away from the person who made the choices to get in that place in the first place.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
mean,
things are just one, but you know, I think we like to do that just as humans. sometimes, because I see this in other applications too. Like what, like I'm thinking of like when people are trying to heal from pain and they just focus on all these passive modalities, massage and other like body work and things like that, and just stretch me and massage me and smash me until I can't, like I'm just mush.
You got to kill it.
But it's like, that's only one part of it. And you're not actually going to help yourself if you don't take an active role. You know what I mean? You can't just lay on a table forever and not be in pain anymore.
Yeah, you
Sure,
have
if
to, like,
if it's a good
attention.
modality, like you'll feel better when you get up from the table, but you also have to do things. You have to do certain stability exercises and strength work in order to actually like recover from pain. And so I feel like people kind of do that in healing, just like energetic and emotional and spiritual healing too. A lot of times they'll like to have a lot of stuff done to and for them, which is good. It's good to do those things. But, as a person who administers some of those things, you and I both know that we can administer the best, techniques in the books. But if the person is not playing their active role in whatever it is they're trying to repair, then it's at least not going to be optimal or complete. It'll probably improve, but it's not complete. You haven't walked away from the.
Well, there's like a resistance. Like you're
Yeah.
thinking, like I'm thinking about massage and like someone saying they're going to work out a knot or something. And if you're not putting intention into the area and like releasing and accepting of anything, it's just going to be damaging resistance. Like you're
Well, and
saying.
not even that. Like you might feel better for a day or two, but it's mostly because they've activated your parasympathetic nervous system and you've calmed down. If you haven't done something to actively change your body, and the reason why that, if you want to call it a knot or that restriction or whatever it was there in the first place, then you haven't really done anything for yourself in a permanent way anyway.
Right. Yeah.
You've just had your, nervous system temporarily calm down, which is great. You should do that regularly. But it's not going to solve the problem
Yeah, exactly.
on
And
its own,
yeah,
without
it's gotta
absent
be
of active work, active action from
active embodiment.
as the one healing.
Yeah. Acceptance and detachment
Hmm.
are really difficult principles,
Right.
but
And detachment is different than sweeping under the rug.
right.
Keep in mind,
Yeah. I mean,
ignoring,
putting
is
it all
not
in
being
one box.
detached from. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think this definitely is a theme that's a collective theme that's probably resonating with a lot of people out there right now. I've seen it in a lot of my clientele. But it really indicates growth
Hmm.
and a trajectory in a better direction.
Hmm.
And it's easier seen from outside of the drama than inside of it.
Yep. So just more layers of self-awareness. When you feel that tower moment coming on, that's when you need to go ahead and get in observation mode and just kind of be like, all right, doesn't feel
Mhm.
great, but what do we got here? What's going on? What's the lesson? What needs to move? And then if you're already like have a head start on doing that work, then it makes the actual process probably a lot smoother.
Yeah. And also it's helpful if you can maintain a sense of humor through
Yes, tell dirty jokes, tell them to
it.
your church going aunt.
There's
Video
there's
it, make a
a
reel out of it, send it to
reason
me.
there's a reason there's a lot of comedians out there that transmute really, suffering into comedy that people can relate to.
Mhm,
Um, I just went to a comedy show on Saturday, and so I found it really relevant. Some of the stories, because the stories that each of them told, like I mean, they were kind of all starving artists, and except for the main act at the end, The other ones were just starting out, and they were just all telling the same story. And it was of like struggle, but like using humor to transmute it into positivity. But, they're suffering with the inflation, and not all of them, they're like, I just have a cell phone. I don't have a TV. I don't have any awareness of the news. The stories were all the same, but using that humor really, helped them to connect with the audience, and really helped their presence to grow.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
whatever we can do to inject levity into something while we're transmuting or transforming into whatever new iteration on whatever new foundation needs to be is going to make things a lot easier and probably help you to grow.
Yeah, never take anything too seriously.
Right.
It makes it heavier. You'll just get lost in the heaviness of it.
Get lost in
It's a lot harder to be an observer that way. Mm-hmm.
It is. It is. Yeah. So, I mean, I know not everyone out there probably is as interested in tarot or divination work as we are. That's just one way to remove
Oh,
it.
you will be by the time we get done with you.
Yeah, I think we're force feeding it.
You love tarot.
It's more fun. It tells a good story.
It just depends on, it's like anything. It depends on how you look at it, how you approach it, and how you choose to take things from it. Of course, you should never take anything like too literally, or like
Right.
run your life because of what some tarot reader says. But
Intuitive discernment.
if you use that discernment, you can really get some
Change the channel of
proven to be helpful for me insights out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, human relation. If it's not taking yourself out of you're removing your ego in that way, an outside perspective, obviously meditation and running and getting your body movement, like we've talked about previously. But in the process of like clearing
Y'all should be lifting weights by now anyway.
they should. Yeah, we should.
Yes.
Yeah. I was just thinking we should probably put a link to your virtual services for lifting.
For sure.
Drop that in there. But if you are feeling like you've been rocked in a tower moment and you're rebuilding your foundation, really start from below the surface and inside of where you are. Like, what are you bringing to contribute to whatever happened, and rebuild from a place that's more stable. And if you are letting go of things, do it with intention. And that means if you're letting go of people, if you're letting go of objects, if you're decluttering, and be very intentional about what you're bringing in so that it's not a repetitive test and lesson over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we could talk about this for hours, and we should probably take it inside of the Conscious Collaboration Collective on Facebook. Let's do it. So we hope to see you there. Thanks for hanging in with us. And we appreciate you going down this rabbit hole of what we enjoy in our way of interpreting our lives and our business. And we hope that it has given you
love
some
company
insight.
in the rabbit holes.
Yes. Yeah, we do. Who's next?
Party in the rabbit hole.
Who's coming to the rabbit hole?
Bring your green hat.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, we will talk to y'all soon, and we'll talk to you in 5.
Talk to you in 5. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank y'all so much for listening to our podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends so they can join our circle of collaboration on this journey. You can find us on Instagram at Conscious Collaboration Podcast, on Spotify, iTunes, and Audible, to name a few. Please join us next time for another deep dive into how you can live life in more alignment, mind, body, and business. Send us your questions and comments in our DMs or email us at consciouscollaborationpodcast@gmail.com. See you in 5 minutes.